Hi, and welcome back to Jack's Backyard. I'm really glad you're here. So today I was just going to share with you guys what I put in my compost. So when you look on the internet, there is so much information to do with composting, and it can get really confusing. And there's lots of people that say, don't do that, do this, and other people say, no, don't do that, do this. So I'm just sharing with you what I put in mine. And these are the household items, so the things that come out of my house as opposed to all of our sort of garden waste. Okay, so the first thing, of course, is our food scraps. Now, the one hint, and this might seem silly to some of you, but the one hint I have for keeping your scraps in for the compost is to put it in through a container that you find attractive. I think we've all tried to put it into like an empty ice cream container or a bucket or something like that. And the fact is, you'll only use it properly if you keep it out somewhere easily accessible. And you are more likely to keep it out somewhere where it's easily accessible if it looks nice. So it might seem like a silly hint, but it definitely made a difference for us. So I found this lovely little clay pot, and that's what I put all of our scraps in. Okay, so the second thing that I put in our compost is all of our toilet rolls. So when I first started composting, I bought this little $20 shredder from Kmart, and so this type of stuff I do shred. So all of our toilet rolls go into the compost. Then, along the same vein, our toilet paper comes wrapped in paper. So, and I actually often line our compost bin with this paper. So it gets chucked in as is because it's quite light, and so it's going to break down quite quickly. And then any other scrap paper that we have, so any of that junk mail that comes in, any letters from real estate agents that want us to sell our house, they all go in as shredded up paper. Then we also put in all of our egg shells. Now I grind it up until it's quite small. I'll show you. So I do put them in the oven and dry them off, and then just break them up with a jar in the bowl until they're quite small, because you can end up with, I've found in the past when I've used compost that it's, that they can, if you just put them in sort of just as the broken shell, they can last in your compost for a really long time. So I've had a lot less trouble with that since I started breaking it up. I should say here too, we do have a 3-bay compost system, which means that I'm often looking for things to put into my compost, and I'm looking for a range of things to put into my compost to keep it quite diverse. So lots of people have varying amounts of space, and they do composting in different ways, but this is our system. We have a 3-bay system. One lot is cooking at the moment, and we're working on the other one. Okay, so the next thing we put in is any type of paper toweling that we use in the kitchen. It comes in here, and any tissue. So anything like that all comes into the compost. It might seem a bit gross, but I would much rather have it in our compost than have it going into landfill. So there are a couple of things that we use. Now, the other thing is basically anything cardboard. So egg cartons, tissue boxes. Obviously, you need to take the plastic out of the tissue boxes before you put them in. If they've got the Kleenex ones that have got like plastic little keepers. The ones we buy are cardboard only. So we just put them in. We just break them up a little bit. And with the egg cartons, just anything glossy, any type of glossy paper, it doesn't break down very well. So you can just peel that off. You just peel that off really easily. You can also soak soak these, and that comes off really easily as well. I do often soak them and just get them wet, and it just means that they break down a bit easier in the compost if I soak them a little bit. And the final thing that we put in our compost is coffee grounds. So we have a coffee machine, which means that we use a fair bit of coffee, and so they get split between, the coffee grounds get split between our worm farm, because the worms really like it, and our compost. I did just want to say, as far as household scraps, so there's lots of things around, not to put citrus in there, not to put onions in there, not to put garlic, not to put baked goods. So I do put everything into the compost, all of our food scraps except for meat. So we actually don't throw out a whole lot of baked goods or dairy, but any that I do throw out, I do put into the compost. And the main thing that comes from putting sort of baked goods and stuff into the compost is that you attract things like all, you know, wildlife like rats and things like that. And so I just cope with the fact that we do have a resident rat in here somewhere. And sometimes he eats well and sometimes he does not. Yeah, so basically, there is a lot of information out there to do with composts, but you've just got to find something that works for you. Obviously, I'm still working out how this process works. I haven't made a whole lot of compost to date, but working out the moisture content and things like that are one of the kind of trickier things that I'm finding. The lids are working quite well, but yeah, so they're the things that I put into the compost from my house. I hope you got something out of this video, and I'll see you again soon.